Hi everybody, welcome to Jenkins Boat Works. I am Chuck Jenkins. In this video we are going to work on our coaming for our Yukon racing kayak. We're using mostly Okumi marine plywood, and so we had to make a riser that gets the lip off the deck by about 3/4 of an inch. So part of the trick with this is that because of the shape of the deck, it's got a pretty nice sweep up. And so you can get all your pieces cut out, but in order to get them to conform to this, you got to actually clamp it right on the boat. So that's what we're going to do in the video today. We're glad you're here. And if you happen to be new, welcome. And if you're coming back, howdy. This is, I think, the 16th episode. There's a playlist. If you've missed anything on this, we're building this for a friend that's going to use it in the MR 340. Race down the Missouri River in late July. So he destroyed his boat in the race last year, and we got to talking about it, and he asked me if I'd build him a boat. So yeah, let's jump in. I'll show you how we're making the coaming. Here is the inside of the deck. We haven't fiberglassed this or anything yet, but I'm thinking about the coaming. So we've got the coaming recess glued in here with thickened epoxy, and I was really kind of messy about it when I did it. I'm clearly going to have to take the mouse sander and come in here and clean up some of that. And then I'm thinking about how to make the riser. So if this was right side up, the riser has to come up about 3/4 of an inch off the top of the deck. So there's ways to take like 1/4 inch strips and just glue them around the edges to where they're all sticking up. That's one way to do it. Or what we did on the Chesapeake 18 was there was a kit, we had pre-cut pieces of plywood that, well, went around here, and it wasn't as wide as like this recess. It was just only like maybe 1/4 inch, maybe 5/16 thick pieces of plywood that went around here, and you just glued it on there and you stacked them up until you were about 3/4 to an inch high off of the deck, and then you put a coaming lip on the top of it. That's what I'm going to try to do. I found a whole bunch of mahogany Okumi plywood that I've had laying around, and I have some that is this stuff's 3/16 or 3/8, I mean. Now that's pretty thick to be able to bend, but I also have all of this. I believe it's 4 millimeter. It's about 1/8 of an inch thick. So we'd have to have several layers of that. I think between the two of all those, I can probably make it. Now, I found my cutout that I had when we cut out our piece for the riser. So I've got that pattern. I also had this cardboard pattern here, and I still have the plan. So what I'm doing with the plan is I'm coming in from this inside edge 5/16. So the 1/4 inch would probably be enough, but I just want to make sure it's big enough in case I need to sand some off. So I've taken a little block that's 5/16 thick, and I'm just putting it on these edges and drawing a pencil line. Now I'm going to connect the dots. Then I'm going to cut this whole thing out, cut the paper out to where I have a pattern that I can then trace onto some of this plywood and try to cut out several pieces that can then be glued together to make the whole oval that will be part of the riser. As I'm saying all this, I wonder if any of it's making any sense, but we'll keep showing our progress, and I hope that my little plan will work. Okay, so I cut out this piece and I went about 5/16 to 3/8 wider than the inside lip of the recess. So this would stick out, not in the middle of the recess, but out past it, outboard. And so then I folded it over in half and just duplicated it on the other side. And so what I'm thinking now is I've got this 4mm of Coaming, just some scraps here. I'm thinking that I can get 2 halves. This half, and then we'll rearrange this once we cut that out and see if we can get 2 pieces that are the exact size needed for the first layer of the riser coming up off of the Coaming reset. So let's draw this out. Okay, for the most part, I stayed outside the line. And actually, I'm pretty good with that. I'm going to take it over here and let's just go look at it real quick. I don't know if it'll bend around this thing. Yes, that's what I'm talking about. So if we just cut inside this line, like say 3/8, that's gonna lay in there and come right around here, just inside this. So what I'm doing here is I'm trying to draw a line inside this outside edge. And we're gonna stack these little tiny thin pieces of plywood up for our Coaming riser. So what I did is I made this little tool. It's just a marking gauge, and I'm running this part around on the ground, or on the, flat away from the board, and then putting that on there, holding it on there, and just drawing a line on there that gives me a width here of about 7/16. So just a kind of dumb thing, but it sure made me a nice even line around here. Now we'll see if I'm smart enough to be able to cut it out on the bandsaw and get a nice exact fit. So we'll use some double-sided tape. This is because I got a double thickness here, and then we'll just cut these at once, and then we should have a very symmetrical 2 pieces that we can use to not only have a template for making more pieces like this, but also this will actually be a part of our Coaming riser. So I did cut these out on the bandsaw, and they are flexible, and I can clamp them on here, and they just fit on here. And the only problem I've got is that I'm just a little too big here. I'm just gonna have to cut off a little piece of this to make it match. But then I've got a really nice piece that I can now make other pieces out of. So that's pretty exciting. We got this initial template cut out for the Coaming riser, and that's a piece of Okumi, the dark brown one, the template. And so I've got that taped on there, and I'm drawing around it, and I want a full circle, hopefully unbroken, that will go on the top of our risers. And so we have to have at least 3/4 of an inch coming up. And so we've already got a couple of these layers clamped on in the cockpit area, just to make sure that they're fitting. And so on some of these, I've cut breaks in different places, like here is on the sides, and it's a continuous thing up here. The one underneath it is continuous all the way around with only a breakdown in the back. So we're gonna glue all that up on the boat here, but we're not going to glue it to the boat because we want to get this bend in here. This has got a real sharp up steep swoop to it. So we want it to glue up in that shape, because then we're gonna have to clean it up, because as careful as I'm trying to be, I can't get these exactly all the same. So anyway, we should be able to cut this one more out. And I've drawn my pencil lines around it, so now I'm just gonna take that tape off of there, cut it out, and we should have enough to get us the 3/4 of an inch up that we need for the height of the riser. I bought this birch plywood because it's 1/4 inch thick. It's glued together very nicely. The whole thing's going to be epoxied, so although it's not marine grade, it should be fine. The okumi that I had was 4 millimeters. I was going to have probably 7 layers to get our 3/4 inch height. So this was made it easier to cut out fewer pieces, which made it easier to glue and everything. Well, that'll be easier to manage that way. How about that? All right, let's see if it fits. Go see if it fits. Yeah, I think probably so. Now the trick's going to be gluing all these together. Yeah. So we're just going to clamp one down at a time very carefully. And then we'll put some glue on, and we'll put the next one on. Glue it down. I still have to get the other 2 pieces. It was my original template. All right, that's starboard. Starboard and port. How about that? It's right at 3/4. There, maybe it's just a hair over. And I couldn't get any closer than that if I wanted to. That's 3/4 right on the nose. So that's good. It's not very clean, but we'll clean it up once we get this thing fitted. Still raggedy with fiberglass on it. We still have to fiberglass and do the underside of this too, so, but I want to at least get this thing glued up. Yeah, we're not gluing it down to this. So I want this first one on here. And then everything else will follow. So. Okay. Hi, Toby. I'm okay gluing this with just wood glue at this point. All of this is going to get encased in fiberglass and epoxy, so I'm just really not going to worry about the fact that we're just using wood glue for now. A lot less messy than epoxy. You know, if it was going to be below the water line, maybe I'd think about it more. I absolutely would, but it's not. And we're gonna encase it completely in epoxy and fiberglass. So I don't think it matters. Awesome. So I already started taking the clamps off of here, and you can see that we've got some fairing and sanding to do, but we molded it to this shape with this upsweep, and actually I think it looks pretty good. So we're gonna go ahead and take that off of there. I've made a couple of little cradles. We're gonna flip this over and sand out the inside. So, all right, very cool. All right, so we'll get the rest of these clamps off of here. I hope it holds its shape. Oh yeah. Look at that. It's pretty rigid actually. Just fits right back on there, right where it goes. Oh yeah, that's cool. Okay, well obviously we got some cleaning up to do here, but that's good. You know what? I already cut out the lip. I'm gonna go get it. Hope it fits. Yeah, pretty good. Pretty good. Yeah, that's gonna actually be a double thickness. I have another one that's identical to this. But yeah. Yes, yes, yes. It probably took me an hour and a half to use the rasp and sand and get all these rings faired together. All right, so we got this thing all sanded up. It's got great shape. It looks really good. And we're gonna put a little bit of fiberglass cloth on it. When I put the coaming lip on, which will go on the top here, we will fiberglass the inside and over the top of the lip at the same time. So all I want to do right now is the bottom, the underside, and the outside, because that's going to be underneath the lip and it'd be very hard to get to. So we've got some cloth cut on a bias here and mixed up some fiber or some epoxy. I got a little bit of sawdust in there to kind of color it up just a little bit. It's not thick, but we may be leaving this as a wood color, and if so, it'd be nice if it was a little bit darker. So that's all good. Okay, so I just brought this riser over here. We had form fitted this to this angle of this, several days ago, and I need to be careful here. That fiberglass can be kind of sharp, but anyway, so that just fits right on there. I had to play with it just a little bit, get it right where it goes. But yeah, we're right on the edge of there. Now there's gonna be some here that we're gonna have to trim out of there, clean out of there. But I'm real happy with that. If you like the video, remember to like and subscribe. We'll see you next time.